When you walk into a bookstore today and head over to the philosophy section, there's one name that's most likely to jump out at you more than any other, and that name is Ryan Holiday.
You're a popular man. Ryan Holiday, everybody.
Whose books have sold more than 4 million copies all across the world.
And this guy's not just a best-selling author in philosophy. He's also been the mind behind some influential marketing campaigns for best-selling authors, musicians, and entrepreneurs. So it's no wonder when putting his marketing powers to his own brand that many people would come to label him
the modern day philosopher king.
But what if I told you all of this is wrong? That Ryan Holiday's core philosophy isn't stoic at all, but in fact anti-stoic. And more than that, it is existentialist. Welcome to the club. But now to make my case, let's rewind a bit to where it all began. When you consider the traditional Stoics, Marcus Aurelius, Cato, Epictetus, their philosophy was all about submitting to nature's design. It was about accepting your destiny. And contrary to any and all positive vibes when you hear that phrase, accepting one's destiny, what destiny really meant back then was that you should have a slave-like submission to the limits that nature confined you to. Those limits being your environment, life events, your status. As Thomas McIlvey writes in The Shape of Ancient Thought, the goal of ethical philosophy must be to bring personal preferences and aversions into harmony with those of the ruling principle of the universe, variously called Zeus, reason, logos, and nature. As Cleanthes wrote in his hymn to Zeus, Zeus leads the willing person, the unwilling he drags. To reiterate this point, there's no escaping the hand that was dealt to you in life. You're basically on a leash, and Zeus is your handler. He gives you the same two options that Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson gives his targets in The Rundown.
Option A, you give me the ring. Option B, I make you give me the ring.
So to quickly summarize, to be a traditional Stoic, not only should you accept that you're tied to a destiny, but that you should willingly resign to that destiny and not struggle for anything different. But now, do you see how this is a little bit different from the Stoicism that Ryan Holiday presents? According to his book, The Obstacle is the Way, we're supposed to fortify our strength to rage against reality, against those unfavorable conditions perceived as obstacles. He writes, "We might not be emperors, but the world is still constantly testing us. It asks, are you worthy? Can you get past the things that inevitably fall in your way? Will you stand up and show us what you're made of?" Oh, and also, whatever happened to amor fati, that Greek maxim that translates to love of fate? Mr. Holiday, of course, loves the Stoic maxim. He even put it on a bronze coin, the diameter of a donut hole. But how is amor fati in that traditional Stoic sense of accepting your lot in life, lest Zeus start dragging your ass? How is that at all consistent with, will you stand up and show us what you're made of? The traditional Stoics honestly couldn't be bothered with that. Amor fati to them meant living with a stark indifference to whatever the world threw at them, good or bad, such that everything was to be embraced with the same enthusiasm and humility. But now see how Mr. Holiday spins the mantra of amor fati. He writes that the goal is not, I'm okay with this, not, I think I feel good about this, but I feel great about it. Because if it happened, then it was meant to happen, and I am glad that it did when it did. I am meant to make the best of it. Yeah, I'm sorry, but nah. Nah. This is so similar to the conceited, everything happens for a reason mentality of Western society. It's thinking that every natural event is meant to benefit or to challenge us, as if it's all ultimately in the service of our greater good. Now, with all that considered, let's be real. Mr. Holiday's special brew isn't based on raw Stoicism, but rather it's on the Judeo-Christian worldview that's keenly centered on the beloved doctrine of free will. And then that with the manliest self-help points of Stoicism just sprinkled on top. But wait, how does this make Ryan Holiday's philosophy more existentialist than Stoic? Good question. So existentialism, in all its inconsistent and conflicting mixed messaging, this is one of the few resounding themes that it has to offer, and that is radical freedom. Existentialists basically advocate for you to do whatever you want. In fact, if you don't, you're living in bad faith, or you're being inauthentic, in other words. Albert Camus, an existential philosopher and writer in the 20th century, also wrote extensively on the idea of freedom. Take this for example. The only way to deal with an unfree world is to become so absolutely free that your very existence is an act of rebellion. And so it's with this point of freedom that Ryan Holiday's message strongly resonates. His emphasis is not stay in your lane, it's the American dream. It's become whoever you want, which is, again, a message that aligns way more with existentialism than it does with traditional Stoicism. But hey, I am open to having my mind changed. If you think that I have been unfair or am just flat out wrong in my critique of Ryan Holiday, please, that is what the comment section is for. So, have your best go at it. I will meet you there. Otherwise, thank you for watching. Hit that like button, and I will see you in the next one.